and our stele turuan. In the previous activity, we have compared and contrasted the contents of two materials. First set, we have watched a video about the Philippines, and then for the second set, I have given you 3 pictures about the Philippines. Now, as we continue, we shall be using 3 different materials. You will compare and contrast information from 3 sources to determine the reasons that have contributed to the declining panda population. You will begin by watching the video Wolong's Pandas. That is the first material. The first video, Wolong Pandas. While watching, your task is to take down notes on the reasons for the decline of the population. After that, you will read the text and take notes of new ideas. You must also highlight the ideas that occur in both sources. First, the video on Wolong's Panda, and then the second one is from the text that you will be reading. You should note any contradictory information. And after that, you will be watching the last material, which is also a video, and that is the bamboo mountains, and you have to take notes also. Finally, you will use a Venn diagram based on information from the 3 sources to compare and contrast the given information.
Innovative research with captive animals has one all-important goal: understanding the needs of their counterparts in the wild. For endangered pandas, that's a world 7,000 miles away, high in the misty bamboo mountains of China. Pandas are such dedicated bamboo eaters, they've even evolved a pseudo-thumb to grasp the stalks. But the bamboo forest is shrinking, and sometimes large patches flower all at once, seed, and then die. Then there isn't enough for the pandas to eat. In the 1970s, disaster struck when a mass die-off of bamboo occurred. Many pandas died. But when another bamboo die-off began in the 1980s, the Chinese were ready. They brought the starving pandas down from the mountains and into captivity. Many came here, to the Wolong Conservation Center for Giant Pandas. This is one of China's 2 major panda research centers. At first, Wolong keepers nursed the pandas back to health in the hope of returning them to the wild. They added milk and bread to their diet because even here, keepers can't gather enough bamboo to sustain the pandas. Each one can eat around 50 pounds of bamboo a day. So the Chinese made a kind of bamboo helper by mixing ground up bamboo with rice, corn, vitamins, and minerals. The resulting flour is baked into a nutritious bread. The pandas revived, and the Chinese hoped to start a breeding program. But years went by without a single birth. What's more, poaching had become a serious problem. This crippled animal lost its paw in a poacher's snare. Wolong's pandas weren't going back into the wild. With so many irresistible new cubs, Wolong has become a tourist attraction. And more success has followed. In the year 2000, Wolong broke even its record with 11 new cubs. China's breeding program is finally going strong. Wolong's success gives us a certain optimism about the future of giant pandas. But with this comes another problem. What will we do with this surplus of captive cubs? Their natural habitat is vanishing. China's human population puts enormous demands on the land. Farming and logging are clearing the forests where pandas once lived. Pandas are pushed higher and higher up the mountains into the toughest terrain where there's less to eat. To combat this problem, the Chinese government has set aside 32 reserves for the giant panda, but the reserves are spread far apart and fragmented.
The panda population is actually split into all these little small islands of populations, and there's no exchange of individuals between these areas. One of the applications of our scent research might be to take these scents and put them in habitat corridors that we put between these islands. And this may indeed encourage the pandas to come down out of one island, traverse through the corridor, and up to another island. And this will get genetic exchange and reduce the problems of inbreeding in these small populations.
But panda fieldwork is still tackling the basics. Researcher Matt Durnan joins Chinese colleagues here at 9,000 feet to study pandas in the wild. Matt is trying to find out just how many pandas are left and where they are.
对不起，麻烦你现在回来，我要去那个 perpendicular.
It's thought that less than 1,000 remain, but no one really knows.
I've been in the field 3 years, and I've only seen one panda in the wild, which is obviously very frustrating.
20 years ago, researchers relied on live animal traps, like this one. The pandas were radio collared and released. Today, new technology gives us a way to study pandas without actually ever seeing them. This high-tech method uses a simple barbed wire. The wire plucks hairs off the animals as they walk underneath. Through advanced DNA analysis, these collected hairs can tell us not only how many pandas there are in this area, but their sex, age, and who's related to whom. Matt is also finding that pandas need more than bamboo.
We've learned from previous work that in the Wuipeng study area, if you simply took bamboo, there should be more pandas up there. So the question is, what may be limiting the size of that population?
It's possible that there are too few den sites. It seems female pandas choose larger trees for their dens, but logging has taken the biggest and the best of them.
If there are, in fact, too few large trees, and it does turn out that they prefer to use large trees, we may, for example, want to introduce artificial den sites to try to help the female pandas reproduce better and rear their offspring.
2700.
Matt is mapping panda territories. With an increasing captive population, there's a growing hope for reintroduction.
The information we know about behaviors that we've learned from captivity and the information we're gaining from our work in the field are going to be critical to the success of any future reintroduction. We don't, for example, want to put a male into an area that's already saturated with males. That animal may lose out. It's coming from captivity, and we do know that when they come together in the mating season, there is some aggression.
What we learn about giant pandas in the wild will make a big difference in how we care for them in captivity. And more importantly, we may one day know enough to be able to return them to the bamboo mountains where they belong.
In this Venn diagram, you have to list down all the information that you have taken from all the three materials that I have given you. Printed text, first video, Wolong's Panda, and then the second video, Bamboo Mountain. It is indeed a very essential skill that you can compare and contrast information towards a more meaningful learning process. Good day and thank you so much.